I loved playing the character in the film, and I just saw the potential. Get into his origin story.
When we were finishing the movie is actually when the idea to do the show came about. The idea that Colin always understood is that he would have a certain size role in the movie, and then I really wanted to build that story out.
The opportunity of doing something episodic, a morally corrupted individual with ambition seeking power in the city, that just felt like great potential for a gangster show.
Matt's version of Gotham felt extremely grounded, and to know that Oz as a character was just a man who is discounted, underestimated, and wants more for himself.
In our movie, he's a mid-level gangster, not yet the kingpin. In the show, he's on his way to becoming that.
Matt said he was thinking of a rise to power story in the vein of Scarface.
America's a hustle.
More than anything, I thought about this man from Providence, Rhode Island. He was the mayor there for 21 years. He was very corrupt, very charming, and violent, but everybody loved him because he revitalized the city. It just made so much sense to me to think about Oz in that way, and that, to me, was sort of a spark that I took and ran with. In the comic books, the Penguin comes from money. His family's very important. In what Matt created, it was apparent to me that Oz shouldn't be that type of character. You want more and you're hungrier for things if you have less.
He's lived in close proximity to great wealth. He's driven by that sense of exclusion and sense of unfairness.
I'm gonna tear down the empire from the inside out.
It's one of his greatest weapons that people don't take him serious, and so he can act in the shadows in a way that if people were fearful of him and watching him closely, he wouldn't have got the chance to operate in the way that he does.
What makes a man into the Penguin? This character that we've all held some version of in our heads since we've been kids, really.
When I first started to dissect Oz and figure out what was driving him, my realization was Oz is a man who doesn't just want power, but he wants to be loved and revered, and more than anything, loved by his mother. And so I created Frances.
You promised me, Oswald. I deserve a better life.
I'm working on it.
That's why Oz is the way he is because of her.
Rarely do you get to go to the underneath of it. Like, how did this end up being the way that they live together?
Don't you see, dear, what you did wasn't impulsive. It was instinctual.
I just don't know when it happens, when something goes from I want to take care of my mother to I want to own the world.
The only person that really has any control over Oz is his mother.
They become these beasts of materialism, but it's not quite like, I just want more nice stuff. It's darker than that.
This city isn't meant to be yours, sweetheart. What are you gonna do to get it?
I always wanted to create Victor. I wanted Oz to have a mentee.
I got ambition. I can help you.
Certain people like the Falcones would see Oz as less than, but a kid like Victor, in the place that he is, would see Oz as a god, and Oz likes that.
In the face of Victor's impotence, Oz feels powerful. It feels good to him to have an underling, to have somebody who's so clearly beneath him and so clearly afraid of him and so clearly has an element of reverence.
Oz gives him a chance to not only be able to make some money, but to feel important, to feel like you're making moves. He finally has a chance to be something.
Feel alive, Vic, huh? Feel a heart beating?
All of the emotional undercurrents, all of the psychology, that is the delicious thing that you get to do by having more time than you would have in a film. He does things you want to think you'd never do. By understanding him, we can see ourselves in him.
I want you to relate and empathize with him in moments, but also be equally repelled. You don't have to like him. You shouldn't like him, maybe, but you want to watch this guy.